All right. Welcome, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get it started. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anne Marie Ree. I work for Travis Audubon. A couple of quick notes before we get started. If you could turn off your cameras and microphones to avoid distractions. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We're going to be monitoring the chat. And we also have a survey, and I'll put the link to that in the chat in just a minute. But those are some quick notes to help our Zoom meeting go better. And then a few announcements. First of all, for anyone who participated in VCAL, whether you attended our event, did our silent auction, we want to be a huge thank you. We brought in over 133,000. So thank you to everyone who supported, virtual or in person. We want to thank Bill Bunch for being our amazing honoree and for all the work that he does to conserve Austin. Also want to let you know we have some really great upcoming fall events. We have like 7 or 8 events just this Saturday. We have some other events. We have an Ales and Trails at Blair Wood, a bird conservation workshop at Shield Ranch. So just take a look at our calendar. And now I'm going to turn off the screen and let me stop sharing my screen. And Jordan Weingarten is going to be presenting our speaker.
All right, can you hear me? Great. All right, so Katie Fallon is going to be our speaker. She's the author of some nonfiction books, including one called Vulture, The Private Life of an Unloved Bird, and Cerulean Blues, A Personal Search for a Vanishing Songbird. She's also written books for children. She's the executive director of the Avian Conservation Center of Appalachia, which is a nonprofit dedicated to conserving the region's wild birds through research, education, and rehabilitation. She has served as the president of the Mountaineer chapter of the National Audubon Society. She's actually a certified professional bird trainer, and over the last 30 years, she has given educational presentations featuring live raptors, vultures, parrots, and corvids. She writes the column Wing Beats for Bird Watchers Digest and has taught writing at West Virginia University, Virginia Tech, and elsewhere. She ran for office in the West Virginia State Legislature, lost by 138 votes, which sounds like um, that was close. And she says, and this may be apocryphal, but says her first word she spoke was bird. So with that, we'll turn it over to Katie.
Great. Thank you, Jordan and Anne Marie, for having me here, and thanks everybody at Travis Audubon. This is a great crowd to hear me talk about vultures, one of my favorite subjects to talk about. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully it will um, all work fine. Hold on a second. Okay, so you all are seeing this beautiful vulture on the screen. So, I'm joining you today from Morgantown, West Virginia. So you are quite a bit warmer down there in the Austin area than we are up here, but it's just starting to look like fall or, vulture season. This is the time of year in West Virginia, at least, where a lot of our turkey vultures and black vultures start to congregate in these big communal roosts and scare everyone. uh, but anyway, we'll get to that in a few minutes. So, like Jordan mentioned, a few years ago, I wrote a book called Vulture, The Private Life of an Unloved Bird. And we had a couple other possible subtitles for the book that we didn't go with. One was Vulture, Eat Your Heart Out. And another was Vulture, happy entrails to you. But we didn't go with any of those. We went with the private life of an unloved bird, even though vultures are not unloved by everybody. They are a group of birds that if you know them, you're very likely to love them. They're important to healthy ecosystems, charismatic, really interesting, kind of strange birds. Um, and there are some places in the US where there are vulture festivals. Uh, Not here in West Virginia yet, but Um, there is an International Vulture Awareness Day that's celebrated on the first Saturday of September. Hopefully, some of you maybe you've been to some Vulture Awareness Day celebrations. This particular photograph on the screen was taken at Boyce Thompson Arboretum State Park in Superior, Arizona, which is about an hour from Phoenix. And they have not one, but two vulture festivals every year. One is the Bye Bye Buzzards Festival in September, and one is the Welcome Back Buzzards Festival in March. And kind of an interesting side note, nobody is really sure why we call vultures buzzards in North America. If you're familiar with birding, in Europe or the UK, a buzzard is a hawk in the buteo family, kind of like a red-tailed hawk would be called a red-tailed buzzard to someone in the UK. There are common buzzards, auger buzzards, a whole bunch of other species in that group. And the idea is that, or the theory is that when people from Europe came to North America and saw these big dark birds in the sky, they called them buzzards because that's what they would have been in Europe, but no one knows for sure. But whatever the case, we call them usually vultures or buzzards interchangeably here. Interestingly, though, New World vultures and Old World vultures are not closely related to each other. The New World birds are all kind of related to condors. So we can think about if we're going to rename some species, we could maybe call all the New World vultures condors and leave the Old World birds vultures. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I wanted to show you the cover of this book. Just in case you want to go to your library and borrow it. There are two editions, two versions of the book. The first one that came out has a purple cover, and that came out in 2017. And after about 2 years, the publisher went out of business, which is like every author's nightmare. And it was University Press of New England published the first version, and they were, a real publisher, a good publisher. But they ceased operations, and fortunately, Brandeis University Press picked up the book and republished it, fixed some of my typos, and gave it a nice new cover. And this bird on the cover is a turkey vulture named Boris, who was named by the person who found her injured. Uh, and she is a bird that now lives at the nonprofit I work with, the Avian Conservation Center of Appalachia, which is a very long name. So we usually just say ACCA. We rehab all native wild bird species, and we have ambassador birds that go out and do educational programs. And Boris is one of those birds, and she's a beautiful cover girl. So, before we talk specifically about turkey vultures, we want to talk just kind of about the big picture of vultures worldwide. So, even though Old and New World vultures are not closely related, everywhere in the world, if you call something a vulture, it's primarily a scavenger. There are 23 species of vultures worldwide, and I should say only 23 species. If you think about other kinds of raptors, falcons, hawks, eagles, there are a lot more species of those groups of birds than there are vultures. Only 23 species. 16 in what we sometimes call the Old World, Africa, Asia, and Europe, and only 7 in North and South America. So we don't really have very many here in this hemisphere. Um, two of the two of our vultures are condors, right? California and Andean condor. And then we've got the black vulture, turkey vulture, king vulture, and greater and lesser yellow-headed vultures in the tropics. Uh, why do we only have 7 and they have, 16 in the old world? One reason is perhaps that we lost a lot of our megafauna here in North America at the end of the last ice age. All of our elephants, our really big bison, other, very large animals, all disappeared at the end of the last ice age. And with it went a lot of the big predators and the big scavengers that would have cleaned up. And over in Africa and Asia, we still have a lot of those really large mammals that predators and scavengers eat. Um, but like I mentioned earlier, they are not closely related. The old world vultures are more closely related to hawks and eagles, and the New World vultures do share a common ancestor with those other raptors, but it's now believed to be further back in time than the Old World birds. So uh, they at one point believed that the New World vultures were closely related to storks, and they moved them from raptors taxonomically to storks, sycamore, and then they moved them back to raptors a little more recently, but they're kind of in their own little category. So, kind of interesting to think about how they're two groups of birds evolved to do sort of the same thing in an ecosystem, but not closely related on other sides of the world. So, but all these birds, they have strong stomach acid and they have a gut flora that allows them to eat and neutralize dangerous stuff. So, vultures can often eat animals that have died of rabies, anthrax, um, botulism toxin, and neutralize those diseases. And this is one of my favorite quotes from a biologist who was doing some research on the gut biome of turkey vultures and black vultures. The vultures' stomachs are extremely harsh environments, frying everything that passes through, says the researcher. Even the prey DNA does not pass through. So if you need to ever get rid of a body, a vulture could be a great way to do that. Um, Turkey vultures have a gastric pH like approaching 0, similar to battery acid, and they have two different types of flesh-eating bacteria in their guts that allows them to break down some really dangerous pathogens, uh, bacteria that would make us very sick if we had it in our guts. So, um, they can eat a lot and neutralize it. So they also efficiently remove carcasses. They can tend to eat carcasses rather quickly, especially like the soft stuff, the organs. Um, and that also helps reduce the concentration of mammalian scavengers. So if you think about mammals all crowded around a carcass, swapping saliva, that's a way that rabies can be spread. And vultures don't spread rabies, and then can also reduce the number of those mammalian scavengers swapping saliva around a carcass. So they do great ecosystem services in addition to just kind of cleaning things up. More big picture stuff. So we are fortunate, right, to have a lot of vultures here in North America. Lots of turkey vultures, lots of black vultures. You in Texas, you've got lots too, which is great. Not everyone thinks so, I'm sure, but worldwide, vultures are not doing very well. 11 of those 16 old world species are endangered, and 8 are considered critically endangered. And here, of course, the California condor is considered critically endangered still. I think we're up to 550 or so California condors, which is great, up from only 22 in the 1980s. Threats to vultures worldwide are similar. Habitat loss, of course. Poisoning is a problem for vultures all over the world. It's a different kind of poisoning depending where you are in the world. Here, North America, lead poisoning is a problem for California condors. It's been identified as the biggest hurdle to their recovery. Is them eating, accidentally ingesting pieces of spent ammunition in carcasses that they're scavenging. And turkey and black vultures also can get lead poisoning, but it's doesn't seem to be impacting them on a population level. Birds like golden eagles, bald eagles, red-tailed hawks, ravens, these can all get lead poisoning also from ingesting little bits of spent ammunition. Diclofenac is another uh, veterinary pharmaceutical that has caused a problem for vultures in parts of their range, especially in India, Pakistan, and Nepal. You may have heard about this kind of crisis that people first started being aware of in the 1990s when vultures were getting sick, literally falling out of trees and dying in India. And it took several years to figure out that the cause was diclofenac, which is an NSAID, similar to, ibuprofen. And there are a lot of cattle in India. And when these cattle, before the cattle die, a lot of them would be given diclofenac because it treats a wide variety of problems, just like a lot of NSAIDs do. But if that diclofenac was still in a carcass and a vulture ate the carcass, the vulture could go into kidney failure and die. And there are um, 3 vulture species that are critically endangered now from that part of the world, and 2 other vulture species that were very impacted by diclofenac. Now it's been banned in or off the shelves in Pakistan, India, and Nepal, but it's still used in uh, Europe, and some other parts of the world. Interestingly, diclofenac does not seem to negatively impact turkey vultures. Not entirely sure why. Maybe because they're awesome, but it's a problem with those birds in Southeast Asia, and there are uh, captive breeding programs to hopefully get those Indian vultures back. Carbofurin, you may, if you've been to Africa or know about poaching, carbofurin is a poison that kills a lot of, intended to kill large animals. It's used sometimes to poison predators that might be bothering livestock. It's also used by poachers sometimes who will kill an elephant or a rhino and then put carbofurin around the carcass. So when vultures and other scavengers come and land on the carcass, they eat the poison and also die, so they don't swirl around in the sky above the carcass, alerting authorities to the location. Uh, and then this kind of last threat to vultures that I want to mention, which sounds strange to a lot of us in the US, but it's pretty widespread in parts of Western and Southern Africa, is the illegal trade in vulture body parts. So that's heads, feet, and some organs sometimes that are sold in markets on the street in some African cities. And there are there's the belief that in some cultures that having a vulture head can help you kind of predict the future. So it might give you insight on what team is going to win a game or what lottery numbers to play. Kind of like a rabbit's foot or something might be like a good luck charm. So this is a problem, and there was kind of an uptick in the illegal trade in body parts during COVID. There was the belief that having a vulture head could protect you from COVID. That was sort of this unknown thing that was going on, and there were a lot of vultures that were poisoned on purpose, and their body parts taken to sell. So, uh, so these are, I should mention, I've got some pictures to show you of just different vulture species worldwide. But whenever you see a really nice picture like this one, it's probably one I got from eBird, not one that I took myself because my pictures don't look this nice. So this is one of these critically endangered African vultures, and I think it really looks like what most people probably picture when you say vulture, kind of a long neck, not many feathers on the head, a big beak, kind of scruffy looking feathers. So the white-backed vulture in Africa is critically endangered, and this is one of the species that is targeted for the trade in illegal body parts, and it also eats, scavenges big carcasses like elephants. A couple recent cases. 2019, there were more than 400 poisoned in Botswana on 3 elephants. 2022, 150 more. Um, and then very recently, just this year in 2025, there were 92 of them poisoned at a game reserve in South Africa. And most of these birds have their heads and their feet removed to sell at markets. If I'm not sure if any of you will know this person, but this is Dr. Keith Bildstein, who is retired now, but he was a researcher who worked at Hawk Mountain in Pennsylvania, and he has done a lot of migration research kind of all over the world. And I don't think he will say that turkey vultures are his favorite species, but they are. I think they are. He's here with a hooded vulture, which is a bird that's very similar in size to a turkey vulture. It's one of the smaller vultures in Africa. This is one of the species that's critically endangered and that also in recent years has been poisoned for its body parts. Back in 2020, at the start of the COVID pandemic, there were more than 2,000 of them poisoned over a 2-month period in Guinea-Bissau. So that certainly harms those birds that are, long-lived, don't reproduce for many years. Not good for critically endangered species. This is a bird that's near threatened, considered, but not throughout its range, not endangered throughout its range. This is one of my favorite species. This is the bearded vulture. Like, what a weird, awesome bird this is. 90% of its diet is bones, which is fascinating. It's not closely related to any other vulture species except the Egyptian vulture. Egyptian vulture and bearded vulture are related, but they're not really related to many other birds. You can see in its beak, this is holding a leg bone with a little hoof attached. The bearded vulture used to be called the lammergeier, which means lamb-eating vulture, and we're trying to get away from calling it the lamb-eating vulture because um, it doesn't really eat lambs unless they are very dead, and then it's eating the bones. But they are a big, sort of scary-looking bird. One of the last birds at a carcass after the other vultures, the other scavengers have eaten most of the organs, then the bearded vulture can come in and eat the bones that are remaining. And this is a video of a bearded vulture named Sophia, who lived at the World Bird Sanctuary in St. Louis, Missouri. That I got to go. They let me go and hang out with her for a few minutes, which was really quite amazing. Unfortunately, she has passed away since then, fairly recently, but she was the only bearded vulture living under human care in the United States. They're not a species that you typically see in zoos or nature centers. Just a really, really incredible bird. And then coming over to this side of the world, we've got the king vulture. And people say things to me like, Katie, those birds you like are really ugly and really weird. They've got, they're just kind of all black and scary. But I mean, this is a really fascinating colors. I mean, I guess this is probably female choice, the way that this bird looks, but just fascinating looking bird, a really large vulture. If you've been birding in Costa Rica or other parts of Central, Northern South America, you may have been able to see a king vulture. They're also a species that's kept pretty widely in zoos. Uh, really, really striking bird. And another striking looking bird is our friend, the California condor. A lot of you probably are very familiar with the species, and they're a kind of a conservation success story, or sort of. It's kind of an ongoing story. They're still critically endangered with only 560 of them. There was a recent kind of tragic event that happened in Arizona where 21 California condors died of highly pathogenic avian influenza, which is something that you're probably seeing or dealing with in Texas also. We haven't had too much of it in West Virginia. We don't have a lot of water, and it's found in a lot of waterfowl, but it is a problem for black vultures, especially in some parts of the range. A lot of them are getting sick and dying from H-pi. All right. So now we get a picture I took that's kind of blurry. So this is of course, a turkey vulture and a black vulture. This is a Vader on the left and Maverick on the right. And these are two birds that are not releasable and live at the ACCA, along with Boris and another turkey vulture named Lou and a black vulture named Bliss. Vader, the turkey vulture here, unfortunately was shot and can't fly well enough to return to the wild. And Maverick was hit by a car in the parking lot of a bar called Mavericks here in Morgantown, and also can't go back to the wild. So turkey vulture is, I like both these species a lot, but turkey vulture is really the one that is most focus of my book. So most of this presentation is about turkey vultures, but we do have some black vulture stuff sneaking in there. Turkey vulture, it's the world's most widespread, so it's got the biggest range of any vulture species, and it's either the most or the second most abundant vulture. And you can probably guess which one may be the most abundant. If it's not the turkey vulture, it's the black vulture. There are a lot of both of these species. Globally, there may be 20 million or more individual turkey vultures and just as many or more black vultures. We probably only have in North America about 10% of the global black vulture population. Most of them live in the tropics. It's really um, that's where, getting out of the cold is important for black vultures. They're mostly down there in Central South America. Turkey vultures, we probably have 30% of them breeding in North America and about 70% in South America. So both of these species are really tropical birds at heart. Turkey vultures have a huge breeding range. They breed from southern Canada to the tip of Argentina, and they're really everywhere in between. They are in different kind of habitats, farms, mountains, deserts, along coasts. They're on islands. They're really all over the place. 6 subspecies of turkey vulture, usually some places say 5, but uh, usually 6 are identified. 3 that breed in North America, and 3 that breed in the tropics. Our 3 in North America, we've got an eastern subspecies, an upper western subspecies, and midwestern. It's kind of Midwest, upper west is the same subspecies, and then we have a southwestern subspecies also. Fascinating thing about turkey vultures is that every subspecies has a different migratory strategy, sometimes vastly different. So here in West Virginia, where I live, we have turkey vultures all year long. We have a lot fewer of them in the winter, but we still have some stragglers hanging out all winter. But in the summer, it's very common, a very common species everywhere. So our turkey vultures are considered, partial migrant, whereas some of them leave, some of them stay. Generally, they don't go further than Florida. They're not crossing, they're not joining that great river of raptors through Veracruz, Mexico. They are stopping in Florida. The central subspecies, that kind of western, upper western subspecies that's in the middle part of the U.S., is a complete migrant. The ones at the top of the range all leave Canada and the upper Midwest, and they go to Central and South America. And then there are some populations that are non-migratory, especially turkey vultures on islands. So just check out this huge range. I mean, there really aren't very many other birds that have a range like this one that is just from, the Falkland Islands at the bottom of South America, all the way up to central Canada, and really everywhere in between. The only places they aren't, and you could tell looking at South America, where it's really cold, those high peaks of the Andes, they are not in those high Andes. They're not in Peru and Chile. They're not going to be way up in the Andes, but they are nearly everywhere else. The red on this map is where they are in the breeding season, and then the purple is where they are all year. And then this map, if you were looking away for a few minutes, look back at the screen now, because I love these maps using eBird data that show you movements throughout the year. This is from Birds of the World. And then they just empty out and they all go down to the tropics. I could watch this. I'm a very big migration nerd and could just watch these maps. And here they all come in March and April, breeding season. And then, we're getting to October. They're all moving down. And then by December, we just have them where they are in the winter. And you can see, West Virginia kind of um, up there, south of Pennsylvania. We have them all year, and you all have even more, in Texas all year. Uh, Something really cool to think about with turkey vulture migration is that when the birds from North America make it down to South America, the South American birds also migrate. They Keith Bildstein calls it a reciprocal migration to kind of get out of the way of the bigger, more aggressive turkey vultures that come down from North America, which is kind of interesting. So when you're on the ground, looking up out bird watching and you see turkey vultures, it's probably one of the, most common large birds that really we see anywhere in anywhere looking at the sky in most of North America. And it's probably also a bird that gets mistaken for eagles pretty often, especially by people who are not, maybe don't go bird watching super often. I had a friend once who said, oh, Katie, I know you like birds. I saw, the most beautiful thing. There were 7 or 8 golden eagles circling together. And I said, oh, yeah, those are probably turkey vultures. No, no, Katie, these were beautiful birds, not vultures. So they probably get that a lot. But if you're out looking from underneath, standing on the ground, looking up at a turkey vulture, undersides of the wings and tail are light. That tail is relatively long and thin, and you can remember that turkey vultures have silver linings. So once you kind of know what you're looking for, there's not much that you can mistake a turkey vulture for. Black vultures have what looks like white hands on the ends of their wings. California condors look like they're enormous, but they also look like they have deodorant. I don't have a picture to show you what I mean, but the white underneath the California condor, it just looks like they have deodorant in their wing pits. And it's a way to tell them apart if you've got turkey vultures and California condors in the same airspace. Eagles don't have that same color underneath their wings, and zone-tailed hawks that out in some southwestern parts of the U.S. are similar looking to turkey vultures, but if you get them in your binoculars, they have a kind of a shallow dihedral in their wings, but they don't have the same markings. Okay, up close, a turkey vulture is even more handsome. So this is Lou the turkey vulture from Lewis County, West Virginia. This is Lou's handsome side. The other side is kind of his scary side. He's like missing an eye and has a damaged wing on the other side, but Lou's a good boy. He is Boris's roommate at the ACCA. So here in the eastern U.S. and most of the U.S., turkey vultures weigh about 4 pounds. Some of those upper Midwestern birds are a little heavier, and some of the southwestern turkey vultures are a little bit lighter, but they're usually around 4 pounds and have that 5 to 6 foot wingspan. So, which is similar to an eagle, but they weigh less than half of what a bald eagle or a golden eagle weighs. And they've got these chicken feet. Uh, if you are a fan of raptors, I mean, you know that they've got these really strong, curved, sharp talons. And one of the very most important things that a true raptor has is the helix, which is it's almost like a thumb. It's the back toenail that is really, really necessary, really important for grabbing. If you think of a claw machine, you know, reaching down into a bunch of toys and grabbing and lifting, you've got to have something in the front and something in the back to grab. You've got to have a really strong helix to grab. And turkey vultures don't really have a great helix. It's kind of like a pinky toe. It's not really effective at grabbing anything. They can drag stuff with their beak and they might scratch the ground and move things around, but they're not going to be picking something up and carrying it away in their feet. They're just not, they just don't have feet that are capable of doing that. Even though they get blamed for carrying, swooping down and carrying things away in their feet. They just don't have the feet for that. Up close, turkey vultures they do have pretty strong beaks, and they have a lot of great adaptations to help them eat the dead stuff that they're eating. This is uh, this poor guy got hit by a truck and ended up somehow in the back of the pickup truck and ended up going home with the person who hit him in the bed of his pickup truck. And fortunately, the bird was okay, just needed a few weeks just to recover from some soft tissue injuries, and we were able to release him back to the wild. But up close, there's a lot of cool things about turkey vultures. You notice that sharp, curved, hooked beak that they use to tear chunks off and swallow. Turkey vulture can open its mouth very wide. I mean, you can see in this picture um, just how wide, how big their mouth can open. It goes all the way back. They can open that mouth wide enough to swallow, quite large chunks of something. If you look closely at the bird's tongue, especially towards the back of the tongue, you can see that serrated edges, sort of like a saw blade. And the turkey vulture, yeah, uses that to move sort of slippery organs that it's eating to the back of its throat to help it kind of hold on to them. So that's cool. You also might notice the nostrils, that you can look right through the nostrils of a turkey vulture. And they are one of the species that we know has an excellent sense of smell. There's some debate about how well other bird species smell. We know that the greater and lesser yellow-headed vultures, which are closely related to turkey vultures, they also use their sense of smell. But we don't really think that other vulture species use it or have a very well-developed sense of smell. Turkey vultures are often, the first bird to find something dead using that sense of smell and their excellent eyesight. And other species like black vultures or eagles will sometimes follow turkey vultures to a carcass and then displace them at the carcass. Turkey vultures, often find it first, but then, get chased away by something bigger and a little stronger. So, one more thing to point out, or a couple of things, I guess. There's not many feathers on the turkey vulture's face, probably to help with cleanliness. If they're plunging their heads into carcasses, they would get a lot of stuff stuck to their feathers if they had them. These white, warty things on the turkey vulture's face in front of the eyes, we me, I guess. I am not sure what causes that. And I have not read any satisfactory explanation as to the cause of these warts on a turkey vulture's face. But turkey vultures that live in the tropics don't have them, but the turkey vultures in North America do. This is Boris again, just a really good looking turkey vulture. And you notice that she doesn't really have any of those warty growths in front of her eyes. So Boris has lived in captivity under human care since she was about a year old, and she's never developed these warty growths under her eyes. And neither does Lou, who has also lived under human care for most of his life. So, uh, I mean, I would guess they're getting them from sticking their heads into it's something on what they're eating, perhaps. And our captive turkey vultures are eating mostly rats, mice, chicks, things like that. They're not putting their whole faces in. But anyway, kind of a mystery. So speaking of what they eat and what they're sticking their faces in, turkey vultures are considered obligate scavengers, which means they can't not equipped to really kill stuff. They need to find dead things and eat them. There are a couple documented cases of turkey vultures eating live prey. Mostly it's animals that are small and can't move very well, like nestling birds that are on the ground for some reason, or a fish that is washed up on a beach and isn't dead, but it can't really do anything. Turkey vulture may walk up to it and swallow it. Invertebrates, some insects, worms, turkey vultures might eat, but they're not really equipped to kill anything that's larger. They're not meant for that. However, they do learn where reliable sources of carrion occur. So if there's a farm or a ranch where carcasses are disposed of on the property, turkey vultures will certainly learn where that is and they will hang out or at least come check it every now and then to see what's dead around there. And here in West Virginia, they don't really do it so much anymore, but the Department of Highways used to sort of pile up dead deer in kind of a same location from the interstate, and the vultures would all hang out by that carcass dump. I don't know that they cheer on the rabbits, but they definitely learn where carcasses are disposed of. This is one of my favorite comics. There are a lot of vulture comics, and when you tell people you like vultures, you get them all sent to you, which I love. So this is from Bird and Moon, and I don't think I have mentioned yet that one of the cool things turkey vultures does is to keep cool. I poop on my legs and feet, says the turkey vulture. And it's not really pooping, it's expelling liquid waste onto the legs and feet. And it's there's a word for it, and the word is urohydrosis. It's a great trivia word. And it's to help regulate body temperature. We usually call it an accident in my house if someone expels liquid waste onto their legs, but not just turkey vultures aren't the only ones to do it. Black vultures, California condors, some storks, and some other big birds will also do the same thing. My main defense is projectile vomiting. So, this is true. Turkey vultures will, empty their crops as sort of a defense. Why do they do that, or why does it work? Well, it's partially digested roadkill. Vultures have that really acidic digestive system, so it is kind of acidic and very, very smelly. So it will deter people, at least from bothering a turkey vulture. If that gets, under your fingernails or in your hair or in your car, it's a really, really bad smell. It's hard to get out. And it also could potentially give a predator something else to eat. So a coyote or a raccoon that might be bothering a baby turkey vulture in a nest, for example, that's possible the vomit would give that predator something to eat instead of the baby turkey vulture. And it sounds pretty gross, but I have a beagle here, and I think she would definitely eat turkey vulture vomit, if given the opportunity. So speaking of nests, Turkey vultures don't build a nest like you normally would think of a large bird doing with sticks and stuff. They don't do that. They nest in caves, cliffs, old barns, haylofts, deer hunting, tree stands, cars in a junkyard, a big old dead hollow tree, under a brush pile. I mean, they are not too picky about where they nest as long as they can kind of get in somewhere. But they can't really move, bring sticks to it or anything, so it's usually just kind of tucked in some area like this. This particular cave is in southwestern Pennsylvania, in a bunch of cave system, and are several turkey vultures that nest in the area. These little babies are also in southwest Pennsylvania, and they have the whole hayloft is their nest. The farmer who owns this barn doesn't use it anymore. He just lets the birds um, use it for a nest, and they have turkey vultures just about every year. And if you notice on the lower right-hand side of the screen, you will see some lumps of baby turkey vulture vomit. And if you ever want to gross out your friends, you can just tell them about why baby turkey vulture vomit is more disgusting than adult turkey vulture vomit. And it's because it is twice partially digested roadkill. So the adult turkey vultures, are not bringing food back to the nest like in their feet because they can't carry anything. They are eating, coming back to the nest and regurgitating for the baby turkey vultures to eat it. So the whole time these baby turkey vultures are in the nest, which is pretty long time, it's about 2 months, they are only eating the regurgitated food that the adults bring back in. Uh, one of my favorite things about turkey vultures too is both parents take care of those chicks equally. Mom and dad both take turns, sitting on the eggs. There are almost always two. They both will feed the babies. And then uh, after the babies grow up, and they will hang around the nest for another couple weeks, even after they fledge. So they leave the nest when they're about 2 months old, but they will hang around it for several weeks until they get more confident in flying, and then they will typically follow the adults to a communal roost, and then the adults no longer support them. So I wanted to show you baby black vulture just for comparison, because I know you have both where you are, I believe, in Austin. Um, Probably lots of both. Turkey vulture has white down feathers, and that black vulture has kind of brownish or cream colored down feathers. Otherwise, though, it's pretty tough to tell them apart. They make the same sounds. Turkey vultures and black vultures don't sing. They kind of make a hissing sound. They have a different kind of syrinx than other birds. But a great way to tell them apart is turkey vultures have white down feathers and black vultures have brown down feathers. Both super fuzzy, super cute, kind of smelly. Up close, a turkey vulture up close looks quite different from an adult. They don't get that red head until they're at least a year old. It sort of fades to red over the course of about a year. And their beak is also not white. That too kind of fades to white over the course of about a year. Their eyes change color from this kind of nice bluish color to sort of a more stony gray color. I want to mention here, I don't want to go into too much detail about this because it could be like its own presentation. But when you see these pictures of baby turkey vultures, you have to have a permit to go into and bother turkey vultures in a nest or any migratory species, any species protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. So our small nonprofit partners with West Virginia University, USGS, Hawk Mountain, to go into turkey vulture nests, take the babies out for a few minutes, measure them, take a blood sample, which is the little box behind the bird. There is a lead care kit where we can test for lead in the field Turkey vultures can be a pretty good species to study how much lead is out in the ecosystem because they can handle a lot of lead and not show any symptoms. Where a bald eagle only needs to eat a piece of lead the size of a grain of rice to get really sick or die, turkey vulture can handle a lot more. But this is like its own, lead is its own entire presentation. But if you want to hear more about some of this research, you can do a Google Scholar search for chronic lead exposure is epidemic in obligate scavenger populations in eastern North America. And the spoiler alert is that this is a study that we were affiliated with, and the study determined that 100% of vultures in the study showed evidence of chronic lead exposure. So, but you can read the whole paper. I believe it's available now just for free. So we are, the birds again are only out of the nest for about 15 minutes. These are my kids helping. We make them take notes, get them started on this field biology stuff early. I don't know that they realize that not all kids do this sort of thing, but that's okay. This research, we kept going even during the times of COVID. We had to go out there with our masks and sample the baby turkey vultures, but we kind of kept it going. It is against the law to use metal leg bands on turkey vultures, black vultures, and California condors because they do expel that liquid waste onto the legs and feet, and it can corrode the band, and it could or cake on there and damage the vulture. So we use these wing tags that are floppy. They're sort of like a cattle ear tag, and that can let you identify the bird through binoculars just watching it, watching it from the ground. When I first saw these, I thought that they were kind of big to put on these baby vultures, so I voiced my concerns because I'm a vulture hugger. And I was assured by the biologists that these were the same kind of wing tags that people put on California condors. And before they put them on California condors, they tested them on turkey vultures to make sure that the birds wouldn't have a problem. So as long as they are placed properly, they don't seem to cause the birds any issue. So we've been doing this research with taking blood samples to test for lead on these baby turkey vultures and getting measurements and putting wing tags on. We've been doing this for, I think it's about 16 years, 15 years now. So we have some more data to publish about it still. But this is Zaina in the middle here. We take she's a veterinary student. We try to get students and interns and volunteers out with us as much as possible so they can get this experience working with these really cool birds and contributing to science. So this picture is from a few years ago, but I like to show it because we do get birds resighted sometimes, and this is one who was tagged back in 2016 in July in southwestern Pennsylvania, and he went all the way to West Palm Beach, Florida, just less than a year later. And this is the greatest distance that we have had a bird, one of our birds, resighted. And it was reported by a bird watcher, reported it to the bird banding lab. There was nothing special about the sighting, about the turkey vulture. It was with other turkey vultures feeding at a swamp. It was just had a wing tag, so it was reported. This little bird, this picture was from 2017, and I go out and help with this work, but my job is mostly to just like hold one of the babies while the other baby gets tagged. So I just take pictures and kiss them and stuff. So this bird, this little guy here in 2017, was caught on his image was caught on a trail cam in 2023. And look at that. He's got himself a cow, right? Which is pretty impressive. So the only thing, again, that's noteworthy about this bird, this turkey vulture, is that it does have a wing tag on. So we were able to go back to the records, figure out which bird it is, when we tagged it, and it's great to see, 5 years later, this bird is still out there, thriving in the wild. one more turkey vulture release story. This turkey vulture was one we released back in, gosh, 2014, 2015, with a transmitter. And you can see that kind of rectangle item on her back. This is a bird that came in for rehab after being shot, which we have a problem with in West Virginia. Um, it's illegal to shoot turkey vultures, of course. She was shot, and we were able to release her back to the wild, and we had a transmitter donated to us that is kind of a little backpack. So it was a little nerve-wracking releasing a bird that we knew, had been injured. Would she go out and survive? Would she just go die? Is wildlife rehab doing any good? All those kinds of questions that you ask yourself. But then we got the data back from her transmitter, and she did great. So the map on the left, where that star at the top of it is where she was released, and she went all the way down to northern Georgia and back, and all the way down again, and back. So we only got about 3 years of data from this bird before we stopped getting any more data. That doesn't necessarily mean she died. It could be that her transmitter stopped working. The transmitters use cell phone towers, this kind of transmitter. So when she goes by a tower, it kind of pings the tower. And this right about the fall of 2016 was when AT&T shut down their 2G cell towers. So it's possible that she just has like an old iPhone, and we can't, we aren't able to get her back and take it off. So she could still be out there, or she could have been hit by a car on Interstate 81, which was sort of her favorite place to fly, apparently. So, kind of wrapping up the presentation here, but I can't leave without talking about the black vulture, which has, a much worse reputation than the turkey vulture. But look at that. I mean, that's a cute face, right? So, uh, couple reasons the bird has a worse reputation is that it seems to be, increasing. Turkey vulture is increasing also, but black vulture seems to be spreading further north than they have been seen in the recent memory. Um, but if this is one of these maps where the using eBird data that will show you the movements throughout the year, and you notice that the black vulture is not, it's considered a migratory species, but it is officially, but it is not very migratory. It may wander around a little bit, but it's not doing a big migration like turkey vultures do. Uh, we have them again all year in West Virginia, but not as many as we have many more turkey vultures than we do black vultures. So why are there more turkey vultures and why are there more black vultures? Possibly moving further and further north. One of the theories is that it's climate change. As things get warmer, these birds that are often found in warmer climates can push further north. Some other species doing that you may know about. Mississippi kite is showing up further and further north. We've got them breeding in West Virginia now. White ibis moving further north also. So it's not just black vultures and turkey vultures that this is happening. Other species are also creeping north too. We also have these great interstate highways that we didn't have 100 years ago that serve up a lot of roadkill and stay warm, which helps the birds like vultures. And we protect them now. It wasn't until the 1960s that vultures were protected. There were, bounties on a lot of raptor species before that, but we started, protecting them, and it's possible what we're seeing are these numbers kind of rebounding from what they were. Black vultures also have that, reputation of sometimes killing weak, young, or sick animals, but it's something that needs more study. It's poorly understood. Uh, is it a learned behavior? There are some places with a lot of black vultures where it's never reported, and then there are some places where it's reported a lot. And it's often, newborn, cattle or lambs that are born in the field and can't either have trouble getting up or don't get up right away, or there are a lot of black vultures. But there are USDA APHIS is studying this, and last I heard, they did not have a whole lot of answers about um, how often it happens or where. It's really hard to determine if something was stillborn and then eaten by vultures, or if the vultures started eating it before it was dead. But it's something that there's our grad students working on as we speak, trying to figure it out. There were a couple reports out of the tropics where there are black vultures too, where they didn't turn up a lot of data about it happening, even though it's reported. So needs more study. Black vultures also, just like turkey vultures, know where reliable sources of food happen, and they love to eat placentas, which sounds, gross maybe, but they placenta is essentially of an organ that doesn't have any hide or fur on it. That's really easy to eat. And black vultures definitely will follow each other. They're social. They'll follow each other to food. I'm not going to read this giant quote, but I wanted to put it up here because it's probably not something you hear so much in Texas because you've kind of always had black vultures. But here in West Virginia and places like Kentucky and Indiana, people sort of freak out about black vultures showing up where they have never seen them before. And I just like to point out that John James Audubon, back 200 years ago, um, identified the black vultures range as all the southern states, far up the Mississippi, all year long in Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. Um, it is a bird that was in these areas and is was probably not there, uh, 100 years ago, but now is returning there. So, I don't I speaking of them being opportunistic, right, and learning where reliable sources of food happen. This is Myakka River State Park near Sarasota, Florida. I watched these birds walk around and check all the grills for food. Like the big predator has come through and eaten its meat, and um, the scavenger is coming in, cleaning up what's left over. So this is a sort of a content warning if you don't want to see dead mice. This is Maverick, the black vulture. Uh, you know, um, getting pieces of dead mice out of a dog toy. This is a black vultures, Maverick and Bliss, the two black vultures that live with us, are both very kind of busy birds. They really enjoy interacting with humans, and they enjoy interacting with toys that we give them. And getting things out of balls with holes is one of their favorite things to do. And this, I cannot explain this behavior. Maverick also tends to enjoy chasing um, plastic ball pit balls. Don't know exactly why he likes the purple ones the best, but it's interesting. And then in these dishes with all these plastic ball pit balls, he will, we do hide little bits of food in there, but I'm not sure why he chases, I'm not sure why he chases the purple ones. Also, this is a plastic dog toy where you slide the little plastic things to get the treat out that's beneath them. And you will see there, he's figured it out. It took Maverick, 5 seconds to figure out how to do this. Um, and my beagle, bless her heart, would still be trying to figure out. She would be howling and barking at the toy trying to get the treats out, whereas Maverick just figured out immediately how to slide them with his beak. So, all right. So hopefully now everyone thinks, vultures are amazing and they're really important to the ecosystem, but they do scare people. And it's it is scary to think about something is going, maybe something will eat me after I die. It can be unnerving, especially this time of year when here, at least here where I am in West Virginia, we get a lot of vultures suddenly showing up together in a roost. And it's important to remember that all summer we were only seeing one vulture, one adult from each pair, because the other pair was on a nest, was on an egg, taking care of a baby. And now we're seeing both members of the pair and both babies from every nest at every roost site. So the numbers have, jumped enormously. It's not suddenly that we're being overrun or they're, all going to waiting for us to die. People will send me pictures and say, all these vultures are on my porch. Do they know something? No, probably not. There's probably it's probably warm, it's windy, and there's food. And this tends to be why vultures, turkey vultures and black vultures roost together. They can follow each other to food, and black vultures that roost together tend to be related to each other, which is kind of pretty fascinating. They did some DNA work to determine that a big group of black vultures are extended families usually. So people are afraid of vultures. Do they attack people? Only if they're dead, right? And then they won't feel anything. Mostly vultures prefer to eat dead herbivores, like deer, cattle, and poultry. And honestly, our black vulture Maverick, this is my daughter, Cora. Really, this is the only bird that lives at the ACCA that we will let I will let my kids really interact with, because it's really the bird that I know is not gonna be able to hurt them. Um, so and Maverick, the black vulture, ends up being everybody's favorite bird because he is so interactive. He will take mice pretty much from anybody, and um, just an interesting bird to be around. And if anyone was wondering, black vulture scientific name is Cora gyps atratus. So Cora, my daughter, is kind of named after black vulture. So anyway. Oh my gosh, I keep adding videos and such to this presentation because I feel like people will like to see them. This is Maverick again. This is our new outdoor classroom. We kind of changed and moved facility to a different location. So now Maverick and his roommate Vader, who's in the background there, they have an enclosure, but they also have this huge kind of extra space where we let him out to run around in every day, and we put different toys out there, and Maverick is always ready to come and see see how many mice I have in my cup. So handsome guy. Okay. So are they waiting for you to die? No. Turkey vultures don't follow dying animals or people. Usually you've got to be for a turkey vulture to eat you, it's usually you're about a day dead before they find you. Um, using their sense of smell. And people often think vultures look creepy, but really, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So, if you are ever find yourself in this situation where you are, crawling through the desert and you see some turkey vultures watching, you should just keep calm and carry on. Okay. One of the things about these Zoom presentations is I just laugh at my own jokes sitting here at the table. Hopefully other people think they're funny also. So if you have questions or that I don't get to answer today, I put my email address up here. Sometimes I'm slow to answer email just because of what my life is like, but I try to get back to everybody. This is Lou here at a program a few years ago. And as the very last thing, I didn't talk about this bird too much because she is kind of new to us, but this is slow motion of Bliss, the black vulture, flying. And she is a baby black vulture that somebody stole out of the nest and brought to Petco in her purse. So, and then the one of our interns was working at Petco and said that is a protected species that you have in there. So, and was kind of made to turn the bird over. But unfortunately, she's too accustomed to humans to go back to the wild. So, which happens a lot with black vultures. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to me talk about vultures, and I'm happy to answer some questions if you had any.
Yeah, so great. Thank you, Katie. This is Jordan again, and I've got a list of questions that came up in the chat. So
Perfect.
I'll run through some of those. One of them is for me,
Oh,
which is
good.
you talked about Boris, and then you use the word she. So I presume that Boris was named prior to being sexed. And how do you sex a captive vulture?
Yes, excellent question. So yes, you can't tell by looking at them, turkey vultures, whether they're male or female. You know, with some raptors, you can tell the larger, most eagles, hawks, owls, mostly the females are larger. Turkey vultures is pretty much the same size. So we have to send out a blood sample to do DNA sexing. So Boris was named Boris by the finder, the person who found that bird injured, and he had fed her steak every day for about 2 months um, before he was able to capture the bird. So he had named her Boris, and it kind of stuck. So we didn't change her name.
Okay, great. Somebody asks, what drew you to work with vultures?
Oh, well, I've I don't know how to explain it. They're fascinating. They're kind of perfect. I mean, they do a great ecosystem service. They don't um they're just sort of always there watching, waiting. I think what first fascinated me about them, I was volunteering at a small wildlife rehab center, and um, a turkey vulture came in for rehab, and it was just unlike any of the other birds. It was not like an owl. It was not the same as the hawk. The way it interacted with the world was just different, and kind of seemed intelligent, and just sort of fascinating to be around. So
All
I
right.
find them, yeah, really fascinating birds.
All right. Well, the next question, the challenge would be how do you reduce this question to a 30-second answer?
Oh,
It could honestly be an entire afternoon seminar. Do vultures have immune systems like we do, or just fight off stuff with their stomach acid and gut bacteria?
um, vulture immune system. I am not sure. Um, I mean, I think that bacteria and stomach acid is what kills the stuff that goes through. I mean, we do have turkey vultures that again, black vultures definitely, and turkey vultures, impacted by highly pathogenic avian influenza, like a lot of other birds. But as far as disease wise, I'm trying to think if there's other things that
Unless they wiped out literally 100%, you've got to have something, you do have to have an immune system to deal with
oh yeah.
what's left over. So,
Yes.
well, anyway, that's a good
Yeah.
question. Okay, someone says, let's see, I sometimes like to set out raw chicken bones to feed the vultures. Is there any danger in doing this?
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to give them anything with seasoning like salt or barbecue or whatever, but I think if it's just straight up chicken, I mean, we get sometimes whole chicken donated to us from Whole Foods.
Okay,
That
so
yeah.
just avoid the diclofenac. All right.
Yep.
Okay, here's a great question, which I think is one of the probably one of the things that people don't fully understand. Why do they circle above food?
Um, well, a couple different reasons probably. I mean, one is when they if you off if sometimes if you watch turkey vultures move in groups, they kind of circle as they move. It's a way to use the wind and the warm air to help them conserve energy. Uh, Also, I'm over the food. They could also be trying to kind of pinpoint where it's coming from if they are using the air, flying above it, kind of trying to figure out where it is below them. Um, it's conserving energy is a lot very important to turkey vultures. So if there's ever, a column of warm air, or lift coming off a certain a hill or a road or a building, they will tend to use that and stay in that patch of warm air to conserve energy.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Sounds good. Do vultures consume other dead vultures?
That's a great question. So, to my knowledge, I do not believe that there is documented under normal circumstances of turkey vultures eating other dead turkey vultures. At least I have not heard of it happening. Uh, in fact, and they might do this in Texas. They do it sometimes in West Virginia. If they want to disperse vultures, they will sometimes hang a dead vulture um, in the area where where they want to disperse a vulture roost, and that sometimes will work to keep the other vultures away if there's a dead vulture there, which is interesting why that works, because you would think that would just be food, right? So, there have been a couple um, instances I have read about where black vultures may eat a dead black vulture, but to my knowledge, it is not something that happens very often.
Okay, great. Let's see what's next. Do you know of any bird sanctuaries in the Austin or Central Texas area where somebody might be able to see a turkey vulture up close and personal like you have?
Hmm.
Hmm.
My gosh. Yeah. I've only been to Austin once, I think, so I'm not sure. Uh, I don't know. I'm not, but I suspect that a lot of nature centers or zoos would have, they have to have at least a couple turkey vultures, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. And is there anything we can do to keep our local vulture population safe from the various threats out there?
Sure. Using non-lead ammunition is a great one if you're a hunter. Um, using copper or archery hunting, keeping lead out of the ecosystem is great for not just turkey vultures, but for everything that scavenges. Um, lead is toxic to everything.
All right. Someone said, basically, let me rephrase this. Sounds like somebody has noticed some dead animals that, for whatever reason, even though there are vultures around, the vultures are avoiding it. Is there some stuff that even a vulture won't touch, and why don't they?
So I've thought about this and read some things about it that there are sometimes it seems to take birds a while to find something, and then sometimes they don't seem to want to eat it. Uh, my understanding is that they tend to again prefer herbivores. If there's a dead raccoon or a dead coyote or something, like they are less likely to eat that than they are a dead cow or a dead deer. Um, but other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, they've done some tests with this, and sometimes it does take them a long time to find something, and sometimes they find something right away. And I don't think that it's really understood why. They do
Okay.
have a great sense of smell, so.
All right. Do they ever eat anything else like seeds or fruit, or are they purely obligate dead carnivores?
So black vultures will eat all kinds of stuff, which is one of the other fascinating things about them. Black vultures will eat fruit, pumpkins, bananas, um, cucumbers, uh, hard-boiled eggs. Maverick loves hard-boiled eggs. They'll eat, invertebrates like mealworms. Um, let me think. What else have we fed? Watermelon, cat food, dog food, kibble. If you're feeding outdoor cats or have a dish of dog food or something outside, I mean, you might get black vultures coming and eating it. So they will eat stuff besides just carrion, besides just dead animals. turkey vultures, I think, are a little less likely to eat that fruit and trash and stuff than black vultures are. Yeah, our turkey vultures are not as interested in, at least anecdotally, they are not as excited about a watermelon, whereas Maverick, the black vulture, well, loves it.
Okay, great. And we have one person who wants to know, how do we sell vultures to people? How do you convince somebody that they're incredibly awesome and should be appreciated rather than grossed out?
Well, I mean, I'm trying my best. I don't know. I think that really, if people knew vultures, they would love them. So I think trying to I think also really understanding that there really aren't that many vultures in the world. I mean, there are a group of birds that we just don't have that many. I mean, 23 species worldwide of, obligate avian scavenger. Like, there are so many eagles, right? And we only have these 23 vulture species. They're really fascinating. Um, and there's just a lot of really, I think, selling them as also unique and a bird like the bearded vulture that eats bones. I mean, there really aren't very many animals that exist on bones that survive just on bones.
Yeah, well, I agree. They're cool. And our last question is it true that vultures have been used to find natural gas line leaks?
Yes, mercaptan. Yep. Um, yeah. Mercaptan, that smell that smells like a dead animal. They have been. Turkey vultures have been they if they can smell that uh even above the ground, above the ground. And they can help alert people to where there's a natural gas leaking. Yep.
All right. And a comment that I'm going to share, somebody made just to, they second your comment about the disgustedness of turkey vulture vomit. They
Oh
had
yeah.
had the misfortune of the same event. And one
Oh
person
wow.
mentioned that there is a vulture restaurant in Cambodia to help
Yes.
endangered vultures, and they serve healthy dead cows every day to the vultures.
Yes, they do. We do that in they do that in California condors also. They feed them stillborn dairy cows to keep them from getting eating that instead of lead. Yeah, I have seen some really cool. I didn't even talk about sky burials in this presentation, but if any of you are who are still listening are, you know, vulture fans and want to see some more human vulture interface.
Yeah.
Sky burials are really, um, really fascinating in some parts of the world, Tibet,
Yeah, I
India.
mentioned, yeah, I actually put that into the chat.
Oh, good.
All right. Well, that's actually, I think, all of our questions and comments. So, Anne Marie, do you have anything else to add other than thanks
Oh,
to Katie?
well, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much. This has been very highly attended, and obviously we had a lot of questions. So thank you very much. If you get a moment to look through the chat, you have a lot of thank yous out there.
Oh, great.
Angie Tombari said, I can guarantee at least one individual was giggling along with your jokes, and I can double that because I know that I was as well. But yes, a huge, huge thank you for the information and everything that you've told us because it was really interesting. And I think all of us love vultures. So good
That's
job.
great. Great. Well, thank you very much for having me. I hope to get back to Austin sometime.
Oh, we have vultures.
Excellent.
We have
All right.
lots of vultures.
All right. Thank
Uh,
you.
Good night,
Well, thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you all for being here.